Hello and welcome back to the Tau team update for April of this year. And it's the Q&A for the month. So let's get into it. And the first question is from Ethan, and he asks, when will the Tau language version 1 be released? Over to you, Karim.
Thank you, Fola, and thank you, Ethan, for that question. So as we all know, towards the end of last year, we released the initial version of Tau Alpha, and it does have some basic functionality. And it's missing currently two major features, which are tables and function quantifiers. And actually, another major feature that we'd like to add is abstract data types. And so those are the features that are missing for Tau, and the other major improvements that will be working on is performance optimizations, both in terms of time and memory usage. And we have a long laundry list of optimizations to make that the team is working on right now, day to day. So in our estimate, basically, when we have enough optimizations to where we're happy with the performance of the Tau language, and when we have those features of abstract data types, tables and functions, then we will be ready for a 1.0 release. It's hard to say exactly when, but it could happen fairly soon. Thank you for that question again, Ethan.
All right, fantastic. Thank you, Karim, and thank you, Ethan. And the next question is from Leo, and he asks, can the TauNet wallet software be installed in an offline device? Signatures are performed using offline signing methods. Over to you, Andrei.
Right now, the wallet is mainly been developed for an active testnet use, but in principle, signatures, of course, can be produced offline, and transactions can be signed offline and then moved to an online node for blockchain processing. But like a polished, air-gapped user workflow for that is not established yet, but nothing stops us from it. Thanks.
All right, and the next question is from Axio MD, and they ask, when a tester of TauNet TestNet reports a bug, can he get a bug bounty? So, Karim, you already know that we have a bounty program for more severe bugs.
Yes, absolutely. Axio MD, thank you for that question. We already have a program for anybody that submits a severe bug. So if the bug that you report is classified by us as a severe bug, then there's always a bounty for that. And we have granted in the past several of those. So yes, the short question is yes. Thank you, Axio MD, for that question.
All right, fantastic. Thank you, Karim. And again, Ethan, he asks, can we consider Tau language to be an evolved version of Prolog? What are the differences between Tau language and Prolog?
No, Prolog is a very different language. Prolog is not really a logical language. It's only in disguise a logical language, but it is really a very imperative language. To compare the Tau language to other languages, there are tools in the world of reactive synthesis that synthesize programs from LTL specification, tools like Strix or BOSY or LTL synth. We are much more similar to them with our unique advantages. It's not exactly the same.
All right, thanks, Ohad. And the next question is from Kusama, and they ask, what do you see as Tau's future product form? Would it be a ChatGPT style interface, a Claude Code style coding tool, or a different kind of product? That's a great question. Thank you. So there are different elements to Tau as a product for blockchain development, just for user involvement, and depending on the different types of user, whether it's a technical user or a more sort of novice user. So I see that there will definitely be elements of chat involved. I see that there will be elements of machine learning involved, so that users will be able to write in natural language at some point and help, and the UI will help them create a Tau language representation of what they're trying to achieve to the best of the UI's ability. And that's something that we'll have to work on over time. But yeah, there are already ideas around that. But it varies between what kind of user it is, what the user's trying to achieve. So there'll be elements of chat, things like being able to query elements of what you've created and different elements of Tau code. All of that, I think, is in the grand vision of what the Tau UI should be. It should be as simple and easy to use for as many people as possible. Put it that way. And the next question is from AI, and they ask, are LLMs getting good enough to help with development? And is the team using it?
Thank you for the question, AI. The capabilities of LLMs within the software development world are very use case dependent. So they can greatly be utilized, for example, to review code, to discover new code bases, to discover bugs in your own code. Also, of course, to help write code. But it's mostly helpful with code which would be considered boilerplate in some sense, because where LLMs work best is still if things are highly correlated. And this is usually the case if you have to write something which in some sense has been written before, so that there is some correlation established between the feature you want to implement, let's say. And so for this reason, with the particular development from my side, for example, I'm working mostly on the normalization algorithm, which basically means to very precisely formulate algorithms that are purely logic-based, which did not exist in this way before, because our logic and the algorithms belonging to our logic are new, so they are not they have not been written before. So for this reason, from my task list, I cannot use LLM supported coding there because the output just does not capture the precision needed and introduces a lot of bugs, and the process of reiterating on the prompt in the end is as exhausting as writing the code from scratch, basically. And I think this is something that a lot of developers are seeing, that the time trade-off between reformulating the prompt, reiterating the produced code versus writing the code from scratch, this is something that is a very ongoing discussion, I think, in general. And of course, we see the same. So all in all, the team is using LLM assisted development, but more on a use case basis, not necessarily for feature development, but mostly for either boilerplate tasks or for review purposes. So thank you for the question.
All right, fantastic. Thank you, Lucca. And the last question is from Learn Tau, and they ask, what is bit blasting? What is heuristics, and what are the uses, benefits, and advantages? Thank you. Over to you, David.
Hi, Learn Tau. Thank you for your question. In computer science, specifically within the formal verification and automated reasoning, bit blasting is the process of translating high-level mathematical operations, for example, addition, subtractions, multiplications, and so on, into a huge, let's say, network of individual Boolean variables and logic operations at the bit level. It's the core strategy that we could find in CBC5 and also Z3, for example, almost in all the SMT solvers. And it was by blasting the bit vector operations down to the level of individual bits. For example, if we have x equal 10, when 10 is the, let's say, 2 in binary, if we want to check the equality, what we will do is plus each of the components of the bit vector, and then what we will have is that x1 must be equal to 1 and x0 must be equal to 0 in this case, okay? So we will transform operations, expressions, and so on with bit vectors into predicates, operators, into operators in bits. Okay, that's more or less the main idea. The problem with bit blasting at the bit level is that you get a lot of variables and the formulas grow a lot. So there are different alternatives. Another one is integer blasting, where you convert everything into integers and try to solve the problem in the integers and get the result back into your original logic. But what we are doing is a little different. What we are doing is transforming the operations of the bit vector operations, certain cases, not all, we are transforming them into predicates in the big Boolean algebra. So that will allow us to avoid, let's say, the problem that bit blasting usually have of increasing a lot the number of the variables or the formula. But I mean, I say that this is actually an heuristic because at the end, it's not some strategy that we could do or perform in all the formulas. We have to restrict to certain cases. For example, that we are multiplying by constant bit vectors or doing divisions by constant bit vectors and things like that, so that we don't fall into a huge problem due to the complexity of the underlying problem. And that's more or less, I think, what you were asking for. Thank you very much for your question.
Super helpful. Thank you so much, David. And thank you to all of you guys for tuning in, asking questions as always. Follow us on our socials. That is Tau_net on X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it. That's TauNet on Telegram, all one word. And that's TauNet, AGRS on Reddit. That is our subreddit. Thank you very much. See you next time. Cheers. Bye.